Good evening, dear participants. We are glad to meet you in Belarus, especially those who arrived in our city from other places at such a prestigious event as Julie Po's lecture. I introduce you to the General Director of the Center Alvasar, Irene Po. Our lecturer, of course, she will tell you about herself, about her merits. Julie Po. Greet her, please. And let's greet masters of numerology, a support group. I'll introduce you our specialists, our masters, as here are people from different cities. They work according to our technologies. They have attended 3 courses, passed the exams, and today they help us in our work. Lydia is from Minsk. If you need consultations, please contact her. Victoria is from Kyiv. And Angela is from Kaliningrad. As you see, the geography of our students is huge and wide. We run seminars not only in Russia, in different cities, and people come from different cities and from Europe as well. We are planning a seminar in Germany where people will come from 12 countries of the world. That's why we spread numerology, and of course you seem to understand numerology as a deep science. It's very ancient, but nowhere and never we promote that we are the authors of this science, numerology. Though many people write in comments on YouTube and other web pages that on strange reasons we mentioned it somewhere. It's not true. The fact is that numerology existed long time before the humanity. Why? It's a numbering system, so-called matrix. It is represented in a wave regime, and every wave has got various parameters. Thus, when we talk about numerology, we talk about figures first of all. Figures appeared long time before the human beings. If you know, there were priests earlier, and their main task was to observe. This observation was represented through astrology, numerology, physiognomy, palmistry, and for the most part of people, these sciences are absolutely different, but not for us, not for our center. We see these sciences in absolute unity. It's one and the same, represented in different aspects. I'll tell you how we see it, so that you could enjoy the beauty of the esoteric in the whole. And if you like numerology, come to our center. What have we done? When the priest lost the possibility to transfer knowledge, it happened around 10,000 years ago, when our planet was invaded, the whole system passed to more closed clubs, and from this moment the figures were turned into cards, and tarot numerology appeared. And you know, in Egypt, the system was absolutely banned. Those people who planned to learn numerology had to take a priestly sign or weren't let in at all. And when this system started fading, numerology lodged into absolute oblivion. When we started learning numerology on the high level, which we introduced in our center, we saw that numerology is a museum exhibit. I'm sorry, but it was true. There were several separate methods which didn't coincide with each other and weren't combined in one esoteric system, together with astrology, palmistry, physiognomy, and other esoteric sciences. We didn't create numerology, we recreated it. It's absolutely different approach. We discovered a huge amount of gaps in this system, thin spots which weren't taken on the account by the other authors. I would like to take a chance and to express my gratitude to the people who have invested in this science, numerology, for the past 20 years. You know their names: Alexandra, Sidorova, Svetlana Nekrasova, Vladimirova, and her student Snegovaya, thank you, Victoria Majestic, These names are famous. They work. All these methods reveal the system of numerology. What didn't we like in this aspect? Why did we want to go further? And we went much further. Because all of them are like separate parts. But anyway, if you are interested in numerology and you won't take our school to learn this discipline, I recommend to choose one of these specialists or to buy their books. They are indeed deep and interesting specialists. But our scientific approach, as we are engineers, we applied a scientific approach to numerology and created it as a science. What are the features of a science? First of all, systematic approach, practicality, consistency, principles, parameters, validity, scientific approach, and so on. Thankful to our engineering education, we managed to combine all these things in a system that works. We polished everything that didn't work, improved what existed already, and of course created huge number of our own methods. According to the fact that we have concepts of principles and rules, which we introduced to numerology, we introduced concepts of numerological schools. Earlier, everything was separate, and we introduced principles of numerology. We introduced concepts of mathematical units. We started looking at the birth date in a particular context. Every day, every figure, absolutely everything is reconciled in our system. And of course, I'll show you something interesting today. There are people who are interested in the square of Pythagoras. Maybe you know. It's represented in various systems. Alexandrov, Sidorov, Nekrasova wrote about them and analyzed them. But we master this system from our own angle. We have our own methods, moreover, our own formulations, our own approach to everything. Why? We don't take the system from reality, vice versa. We ground and connect it with the figures of the world creation. That's why today I'll tell you in general how we see the square of Pythagoras, and I'll prove as many people are mistaken considering this system to be of the Western school of numerology. Is it so? Are there people who think so? I'll persuade you today that this system is nothing but Kabbalah. There are absolutely all the features of Kabbalah, all the meanings. It's absolutely encoded, and it's responsible for the features that can appear. We aren't inclined in our system to take some meanings, toss them, add them, which are depicted in literature. The fact is that if a system needs to be improved, it means that it is imperfect. That's why we have worked out our own approach to this activity. Let's take, for example, there is a concept of the square of Pythagoras. What is it? It's a person's birth date. Actually, all the people born on the same day, right? It means this system is very huge to apply it in the absolute of the particular person. Moreover, there is another system that is called a card of birth. You heard about it. I talk about it at the lectures. So the card of birth is built according to the date of birth, but there is a small exception. You have to write down the person's name on the card of birth. And the name in tarot numerology is nothing but the aim of life. Thus, in the card of birth, there is a name, which is the aim of life, and the date of birth. Thus, it is more or less specialized for the particular person. When we look at the combination, we have got a metaphysical approach to these systems. We look at Pythagoras at the third card, not the first, not the second, the third card, which complements those significations that are in the card of subconsciousness and in the card of birth. If I said that Pythagoras is Kabbalah, I'll start proving this thesis. Moreover, maybe you paid attention. There are people who learn the square of Pythagoras, they go to a school, an association, they connect with a certain general worldview, creating an egregor. And pure features of a magic occult community are organized. Moreover, we always invite at our seminars not only to learn our technologies, but also to learn technologies of other specialists and other schools. Why? So that you don't enter any egregors. Today, I was asked a question about several egregors. I'll raise this aspect today. The main is to be in a constant doubt. This is the most important. The more you ask the question why, the more you tend to the cognition and perfection of your knowledge. And if you enter the particular school and stay in its limits, sorry, but you are inclined to enter an egregor. Why have I mentioned this question? Because those of you who would like to go further after the comprehension of the square of Pythagoras, you leave Kabbalah and will go to the level of subconsciousness. Those who will choose the square of Pythagoras as the only system for your practice, unfortunately, will get under the power of Kabbalah. In this square, such figures as 666, 13, 27, 40, 47, and others are encrypted. I'll show it today. Why don't we use astrology as the only truth path? It's because the star sky that we see, I've mentioned it already, and many people disapprove me and say that I invent. No, I don't. There are certain logical chains that let us prove the star sky we see is nothing but a painted dome. Let's speculate. Imagine an object that moves at 800,000 kilometers per hour. I'm talking about Earth, imagined? And every second this Earth is shifting and the space around it is changing. Imagine you are driving. You passed one city, the other city, and the atmosphere is changing. Why do we see the same picture for thousands of years? Earth is rotating, it's shifting, but the picture is the same. It's strange, isn't it? Thus, to use astrology, it works certainly, but astrology creates our calendar. You understand what it's for. Astrology makes a calendar. Numbering matrices rely on the calendar. Thus, when the calendars change, the birth dates change. The figures stay in the basic concept and planets stay in the basic concept. That's why you can use these systems, but to call astrology the truth in the first instance is not right. If earlier, before our coming 2 years ago, when we announced that we'll make numerology a sole, powerful science, which is the tsarina of esoteric sciences, people smiled. Today we gather big conference halls and speak about numerology with the capital letter. If earlier it was an instant for chart readers, a strange function for such a great science, and was an assistant for psychologists, an assistant for astrologists, now astrology and numerology work together. Tarot and psychology are additions to numerology. We turned the clock upside down and attracted you. And now I'll tell you what it is numerology from the point of view of figures. It's mathematics, and it means it has certain parameters. You know, we have already introduced this concept. There are 3 upper cognitions. They are a science, esoteric, and belief. Thus we applied duality to esoteric, and what have we got? 3 directions in esoteric. The first direction in esoteric is called occult esoteric. We spoke about it a lot. Shamanism refers to it. Regression and hypnosis refer to it as well. Tarot cards with the application of ritualistic practices. Also bio-cosmo-energetic and various occult rites. To work in this direction of esoteric, you should have an access. The second type of esoteric is scientific esoteric, to which such sciences as numerology, astrology, physiognomy, palmistry, healing refer, and who knows, there is a very interesting profession, it's called matrix, classical matrix of Robert Lee Camp. It's a very interesting technology and I recommend you to learn it. And there is also spiritual esoteric, where you should also have an access. Thus, you understand there are 3 branches of cognition, and esoteric is also divided into 3 steps. To work with esoteric, you need to have an access. Using higher mathematics and methods of approach, methods of similarity, methods of probability, we have calculated that every year on Earth, 5% of people who have an access to priests are born. That is spiritual esoteric. 9% of people who have an access to occult esoteric, These people are able to control ether and practice magic, and 11% of people have knowledge laid already. Knowledge in numerology, astrology, palmistry, physiognomy. That's why people start working in these systems from their first days of life. We have 3 accesses to esoteric, which are divided into 5 extra tasks. There are 5 tasks. Among these 5 tasks, there are 12 planetary tasks. They are from the square of Pythagoras. And you know that Pythagorean school, which works on the Western system, must include 9 tasks. But why does it include 12? 12 is one of the signs of Kabbalah. It's one of the proofs. Then there are 12 karmic tasks, 22 social tasks, 53 tasks according to matrix, and 22 tasks according to the genus. All these things we learn at our seminars, but it's not the main. The main is that all these tasks from the concepts such as destiny. There are 81,300,000 programs of destiny. We have calculated this using the theory of probability. Moreover, there are 10,600 programs for the incarnation. A destiny and a program are different things, which you can pass in 61,800,000 variants. Imagine 10,600 programs and 61 million of variants, how to complete them. We learn it in the first course. Wonderful, right? What is also interesting, we have karma. There are karmic programs for the incarnation, 3.48 multiplied by 10 to the 14th power. I'm sorry, but I don't know the denomination of this figure. But what a huge number of karmic programs a person possesses. Enough absolutely for everybody. We learn it as well, and karma is our creation. Moreover, there are 4 main principles in numerology. Any science can't exist without principles. What are they? The principle of Celerize, which says that any cycle of a person starts with the second of birth. In our case, we analyze such a date of birth. There is a principle of sacredness, which says that every school has got certain meanings, certain figures, certain final systems. Moreover, the principle of sacredness reflects in most the schools of numerology. There is a principle of cyclicity, which we apply in different systems, beginning with the cyclicity of the figures, cyclicity of numerals or arcana. Also, we apply cyclicity for calculation, the schedule of the angels. It's a bit funny name, but nevertheless, it's a very deep system that lets define which angel in which aspect can help you at the particular second of your life when he is not near you. Also, we apply the principle of cyclicity in such cycles as a social cycle, a karmic cycle, a planetary cycle, a meta cycle, and everywhere there is a principle of cyclicity. And the last, the principle of wholeness, that says the further we apply mathematical devices on the folding of these or those numerals, the further we are from the exactness of the prognostics. Thus, let's remember the square of Pythagoras. We have a date of birth. We fold the date of birth to the first index. We apply the square sum of all the figures included into the date of birth. It's the first mathematical operation. Then we apply the second operation, that is the square sum of the index we got, then minus 2 multiplied by the first index in the date of birth is the third operation, and the final fourth mathematical operation is the square sum of the index we got. That's all. If we apply more mathematical operations, we'll lose the exactness of the prognostics. That's why those systems which work on the shadow aspects and go far away from the date of birth are unfortunately incorrect. I don't approve they are not true, but they are incorrect. More mathematical operations request more agreements and more approvals and so on. When we create methods, we check them in practice. Before we started giving lectures, we had given more than 8 6,000 consultations. We traveled around the world and created our own scientific approach. Moreover, to start consulting and be ready for the lectures, I use only one instrument. Guess what? A calculator. No manuals, no tables, no cheat sheets, nothing except the calculator. All the tables I know by heart. If you want to check, with great pleasure. At the seminars you can see it. Of course, during the seminars and consultations, new methods are created and we apply and use them immediately. We established a great number of courses and they are deeper and deeper. In fact, there are 3 more mathematical devices. The first mathematical device is of the Western school. It's a cover sum. The second mathematical device is -22. It refers to tarot numerology. And there is also a Kabbalistic range, multiplication. Thus, when we speak about Kabbalah, you don't have to be frightened. Kabbalah is only a multiplication. There are more than 100 charts in our development. They are built according to the Kabbalistic system, the Western school, and the Matrix school of numerology. That's why we possess a huge reserve of knowledge. And if someone of you would like to show an interest to our discipline, you are welcome, and I'll show you our skills and knowledge, and you will see our technologies in work. We'll proceed further. If you remember, I told you that we have a metaphysical approach. What does it mean? There are 4 main squares. The first square is the date of birth. We'll analyze all 4 squares so that you understand them clearly. The first square is the date of birth. The second square is the card of subconsciousness. At the end of the lecture, I'll take somebody's date of birth and will show how it works. The third square is the square of Pythagoras, and the fourth square is the card of inclusion. All these squares, the fourth is the card inclusion. All these squares work in different schools of numerology. The first card of birth, the figures are placed like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like this. Here you put only the date of birth, plus according to the certain rules you put a person's name. Every figure is reflected in the subconsciousness. Moreover, every figure which is placed into the card of birth works 24 hours a day. This is a basis the person must live with. Many people think that if the figure is absent, you should work it out, shift somehow, and so on. It's forbidden. Why? The card of birthday is your passport. If there is no figure, you must understand why. And if there is a figure, you should understand why it's for. In this case, the whole system will work well. 1 in this card is responsible for speech and a social life. We called it a channel of the social life. 2 is responsible for intuition and for skills to feel an emotional and psychophysical condition of a person. 3 is responsible for creativity and self-realization. Actually, the same name with the channel. 4, it's located on the material plan, is responsible for professionalism and ability to earn money. 5 is located in the center in all the cards. Wherever you try to look at it, 5 is the center of the card. It's responsible for personality. If there is no 5, it doesn't mean there is no personality. There is no awareness and perception of you as a personality. Earlier or later, you'll be able to realize it. We call 5 freedom. That is the freedom from everything. A free person is the person who knows his or her assignment, and this person is ready to help another person to find an assignment. Next is 6. It's in the upper plan. It's an intellectual plan and is responsible for the skills and wish to create family relationships, for the comfort and coziness at home. If there is no 6 in your chart by any reasons, it doesn't mean you don't want to raise a family. It means that you treat family relationships as the second plan in your life. Maybe you have other features. People who don't have 6 in a birth date think according to the principle, home is there where I am. Those who have at least 1 6 think the other way. Home is there where I am, my family, and those people who I care. The more figures 6, the more diligent the person in the household chores. The fewer figures 6, the quicker the person in doing household chores without spending much time. If you want to get a quick recipe of a sandwich, ask the person without 6 in a birth date. And 7, it is also located on the material plane. Why? Because 7 is responsible for the connection between a person and his angel. If there is no 7 in your date of birth, you have only 1 angel. 1 times 7, 2 angels. 2 times 7, 3 angels. Many people think if they have many angels, they are happy. Maybe, because every angel has got his own talent that you have to feel and reveal. Moreover, 7 is responsible for the amount and possibility to get life lessons. And if there is no 7 in your date of birth, you get life lessons every 7 years. Think how much you'll save. Why is there no 7? The answer is very simple, because unfortunately you didn't show yourself in the past life so that you could persuade the angel you are able to build causal relationships, that you are ready to be responsible for your actions. 8 is responsible not only for spirituality, but also for the possibility to see details, for the possibility to build a plan. If you don't have 8, you think globally. In theory, you are a good director, but in practice, you try to pass your work to the others. Those who have 8 are keen on practice. They should work not at the production sphere, but at the sphere providing a service daily. Moreover, the more figures 8, the more scrupulous the person is. If you have 8, you are a good facilitator, but to divide information is your main task. If you take up a big project, you won't manage to complete it. 9 is responsible for mind, logical, and extrasensory. It depends on the number of the figures. And here is the question. Are our beloved 2000s lack of mind? Or no logic or extrasensory? The question is relevant. Don't forget about the letters and sounds. Z, sh, that give us 9 in the name. But if even this doesn't help, it's absolutely clear these people have mind, but use intuition. Because on the place of the absent 9, there is what? 2. The more figures 2 the person has, the more sensitive he is. The fewer figures 2, the rather stronger his mentality is. The creation of the contact with this person depends on it. Next is the card of subconsciousness. To use it, you have to transform the date of birth in classics into the date of birth in the Chinese calendar. Many people ask me at the seminars, and they are right, I like questions. Why is the Chinese date of birth responsible for the subconsciousness? Do you guess? I'll answer. Everything is clear. 7,500 years ago, there was a global war on Earth. You heard about it, yes? It was so great that we changed our chronology, and since that time our Earth has had a history as 7,500 years from the day of the world creation in the Star Temple. It was a victory over the Manchurians, Chinese people. When the American scientists were conducting researches, they discovered that people reacted at the 25th frame under 3 circumstances. The first, if it's a snake, reptilians. Dragons are not reptilians. Reptilians are snakes. Many people write to us that we chose a symbol of a reptilian. The second aspect is a negroid race. It's not because we fought with them. Rus people never fought with them. They appeared not a long time ago and we didn't recognize them thoroughly. and the third are directly the Manchurians. You have to understand that modern Chinese people get on badly with the Manchurians. There are other nations, and we analyze it in details at the seminars. Thus, our subconsciousness tells us the card of subconsciousness is active not 24 hours a day, but in extreme situations. In this card, there are signs of a murderer, of criminals, of fraudsters, of barratry, of conflicts, of people who can bring you benefits and harms. Without knowing the card of subconsciousness, it's practically impossible to interpret the person's psychology. Thus, 4 in the card of birth and 6 in the card of subconsciousness are always present. We have them grateful to the chronology. Now it's 4,700 in the Chinese calendar, that's why we all have 4. As concerns the other indexes in the card, they are depicted like this. What is amazing, you see, all the figures are located in the other order. It's a great help for us numerologists, as we can now combine them and interpret them in this unity. So 4 in this card, that as you see is combined with 3 in the card of birth. I'll remind you, 3 is what? Self-realization, and 4 in the card of subconsciousness is responsible for the intellect. Thus we have, even if there is no 9 in the date of birth of a person born in the 2000s, they also have 4. But I'll remind, when does the card work? In the extreme situations. That's why if you want your beloved child born in 2000s to do homework, you need to connect the card of subconsciousness. What concerns 9, it's responsible for the concentration of the attention. If there is no 9, the person has got an energetic misbalance. The energy is constantly running from the ether and the person can't focus. 2 is responsible for psyche. The more figures 2, the more active the person's psyche is, up to making a certain diagnosis according to this card. 3 is a very interesting sign. Why? It's responsible for the experience of the past life, which the person passed through diseases of the relatives. If there is no 3 in your card of subconsciousness, it doesn't mean you are not sensitive. It means that you, fortunately for you and your relatives, didn't have an experience of diseases of the relatives. That's why in this incarnation, you are a little bit emotionally stingy. You just don't know that it's worth worrying. If there is even one figure 3, you had this experience. And if you have 3 figures 3 in the card of subconsciousness, you witnessed a lingering illness. It'll influence your life here and now. Why? Because again, you'll be afraid to lose a close person. As concerns 5, I've already said 5 in all the cards is the same. 5 is responsible for the personality and his or her freedom. 7 is a very interesting sign. It helps us to identify whether the person is indigo or crystal according to the number of figures in it. If any one of you practices the system, it's called the system La Shu in literature. You know, right? Maybe you heard about it. The number of 7 points at your planetary belonging. It depends on how many figures 7 there are in the card. You can clearly see yourself in the regress on this or that planet. We analyze it in details at the seminar. And those who have 3 figures 7 have already showed it in the cards. This is indigo. 7 is responsible for the person's connection with the highest consciousness in this card. What concerns 8? It's a material plane. Again, 8 is responsible for the skills to organize processes. If there is no 8 and you can't organize processes, you should take small projects. With time, you'll develop this quality and you'll be able to use 8 in a bigger aspect. But if you'll be given an extreme work, you are unlikely to fulfill it. And what is interesting? People mainly build this card because of figure 1. 1 is responsible for the financial flows, for their quantity and quality. If no one, your financial flows are not regular, I recommend you to be an individual entrepreneur. If there is at least one figure 1, there is already an opportunity for a professional self-realization. But firstly, 1 is responsible for the fact how correctly you solved the question of money making in the past life. If you want to have a big business, you have to have a large number of figures 1. And of course 6, as usual, is responsible for the wish and skills to create a family. Pay attention to the fact if there are 8, 1, 6 in your card. It's nothing but an arrow of a businessman. What figures? 8, 1, 6, an arrow of a businessman. If you have this, it means you had your own business. I call it so in a modern language. In the past it was called otherwise. And finally we came up to the card of Pythagoras. Here the figures are located in a familiar order. If you let me, I'll name my own interpretations of the square Y. Firstly, it's not completely clear for me in the guise it's taught at other schools. I'll show on the example of the figures 3, 5, 7. Let me remind you, 3 is responsible for the technical mentally skills to be taught, technological approach to different processes, and moreover it's responsible for the wish and skills to work with mechanism. Next, 5 is responsible for what? Logic. Most people are lack of it, but learn at school perfectly. Exactly because of 5, I was confused and we started developing. So I am grateful to the absence of 5 in my card of Pythagoras. What concerns 7? It's responsible for the talents and I partially agree. Why? Because a person's talent and experience are practically the same. Experience is the right worked attitude to the talent. One more time, a technical mentality, logic and talent. Who can tell me the name of this arrow? You know. What? An arrow of materiality? An interesting interpretation. I haven't heard about it. I'll call it a bit softer. This arrow is responsible for the wish and opportunity of a person to start closer relationships. You understand what I mean? It's called a carnal diagonal. One more time slowly. A carnal diagonal. A technical mentality. What is it? There is a certain instruction in the basis how to use this aspect, but to the technical mentality and some mechanisms this system doesn't refer. Next is logic. Also unclear, for me at least. And a talent? Yes, I agree. Talent is necessary, but maybe not in this aspect that is needed. Next is the figure 1, a character. To my mind, I'm not a professional psychologist, but I think a concept of a character is a wide concept and includes a lot of other parameters. If you look at the character as at the combination of the signs, you can say something, but as a separate figure, I think no. In some interpretations, it's responsible for the aim. I agree. It's a really good and an exact concept. Next is the energy. Which one? Many people say energy of communication. Partially, I agree with it, but if 2 is the planet Moon, then the Moon is softer and meeker. It's a female sign. That's why we can't speak about the fact that the Moon is responsible for the energy of communication. But for the energy of kindness, mercy, the wish to help other people, here I agree. Plus, it's responsible for the intuition and the person's sensitive plan. I also agree with it. And of course 3 is still responsible for the technical mentality, in which aspect is their point that a person possesses an increased self-esteem. If you have the aim, you are a kind person, you have a technical mentality, you won't have problems with your self-esteem. And if you talk about this arrow, I would interpret in the absence of these signs. No such signs, the person's self-esteem can suffer. Let's have a look at the figures separately. 1 is the planet Sun. Its positive aspect is purposefulness and negative is authoritativeness. The more figures 1, the more authoritative the person is. But you have to understand it's only in the case the person treats his or her programs incorrectly. 2 is the planet Moon. Its positive aspect is kindness and negative is the absence of sensitiveness. The person is insensitive. 3 has the planet Jupiter. And I pay your attention that Jupiter conducts the upper line. 1 plus 4 plus 7 gives us 12. 1 plus 2 is 3. Jupiter is the intellect and it conducts exactly this line. It's a very interesting concept in science. Moreover, I'll show later, these squares are conducted by the planet Venus, except two lines. The first I called, it's Jupiter, and the second is 3, 6, 9, it's Mars. All the rest diagonals and lines are conducted by the planet Venus. As concerns 3, its positive aspect is the skill and opportunity for self-realization, and the negative side is lack of independence. Most people without 3 show it. 4 is the planet Uranus. I take the classics. Uranus is responsible for professionalism, and the positive aspect is also professionalism, and the negative is laziness and hack work. It doesn't mean that a person always skives, but at least this characteristic belongs to this person. 5 is the planet Mercury. Mercury isn't only the place where there are not evolving souls, but Mercury is responsible for the priesthood. It reflects both sides. In the plus, there is a priestly side, and in the minus, Mercurian. 6 is the planet Venus. It's responsible for industriousness in this system. I absolutely agree, but industriousness at home. Don't forget that Venus can't work at a usual work. These are household chores, handiwork. The more figures 6, the more abilities the person has to design. 7 is the planet Neptune, and it's correct to place it on the highest intellectual plan, but 7 is responsible not for the talent, but for the person's experience. A bit later, I'll unfold this square through the chakras and connect it with the system of world creation, and you'll see how global the role of 7 is. It's the most important sign in the whole card. 8 is certain, it's responsible for spirituality, but what is spirituality? Many people think to breathe at the chakras is spirituality. In fact, spirituality is to develop in all the aspects of life. To develop a physical body, ethereal, emotional, and astral, and other bodies, it's spirituality. Next is 9, it's Mars. Mars is not only defense and attack. Mars is an extrasensory sign. The more figures 9 there are in the card, the more extrasensory skills you have. But let's return to figures here, 3, 5, 7. In our system, 3 is responsible for the person's self-realization, for the skills to get knowledge and pass it. And pay attention what it is connected with. 3 is connected with 1 in the card of birth, which is responsible for the society, life in the society, and also with 8. It's the ability to organize a process. Thus, 3, 8, and 1 give us a general plan connected with getting knowledge. It's close to what I mentioned. 5 is responsible for the abilities to refract the situation through yourself. It's a personality. I got the knowledge passed through myself, and then we go to 7. What's there? 7 is a life experience. Whether I reprocess the situation, this knowledge into the life experience, or I leave it aside. We call this arrow an arrow of a skeptic. These are the most useful and valuable relationships between people, skeptical. The more you doubt, the more you, what? Develop. That's why we interpret this square absolutely differently. Besides the main arrows, we have extra ones, small arrows. And there is a square, and every figure is connected with a certain parameter. I'll tell you a bit later. In our square, 1 is responsible for the wish to set goals, which will be useful for people for getting energy to embody them in reality. 2 in our system is responsible for the wish to reproduce the knowledge that was got into the absolute reality. That's why 2 is responsible for childbirth. 3, I've already told you, it's to get knowledge and pass it. 4 is an improvement of knowledge. 5 is the refraction through your life experience. 6 is the sending this knowledge direct to the family, and the meaning of it is handcraft. Next is 7. 7 is responsible for the life experience, yours and of your ancestors. I'll also show you how interesting it's expanded. 8 is the ability to warn your relatives about danger, to understand the world creation so well that to know when to be ready for danger. 9 is extrasensory. If you master it, you master the whole square. Now let's analyze in details. You know that in this square there can be not more than 15 figures. It's interpreted as the 15th incarnation. We have another approach. Let's take mathematics. If we have 15 figures in this square, what quantity of energy is necessary to form one figure? Here is the most interesting. It's 6.66%. 666%. Two figures form 13%. Three figures form almost 20%. It's 19.6%. Next is 27%. Next is 40%, 47%, and 60%. I missed 53%. All these indexes are relevant to Kabbalah. If we sum all the figures, we get everywhere 6, here 6, here 6, and here 6. That is Venus. Unlike 2, I've mentioned already, here is Mars, and there is Jupiter. The rest is conducted by one planet, by Venus, where we came from. That's why all these squares are named. The first square is the present life of a person. This is the experience which is necessary to complete the assignment. The card of subconsciousness is what is hidden in the person to prevent him or her from the previous mistakes. This square of Pythagoras is responsible for the characteristics and experience which probably can be useful or not. It depends on the situation in life. It's an extra baggage which is always with a person. It's responsible for the energetic system and health of a person. What concerns the last square, the card inclusion, here is also very interesting. The figures are placed like this. And this card is formed from the name, middle name, and surname of a person. If you know the table of an interpretation, you can easily build this card. It shows the past life of a person. Here you see that 1 is the ability to defend yourself and your relatives. 2 is the manifested virtue in the past life. 3 is a public self-realization, how famous a person was in the past life. 4, how hardworking and professional. 5, how the person realized himself or herself. 6, how qualified the family was. And 7, the number of figures 7, is responsible for the introduction to the sacred knowledge. The more figures 7 you have, the more you were involved in the past life. You possessed ancient, sacred, and unknown to anybody sacred knowledge. It means nowadays there are no teachers for you except you yourself. 8 is responsible for the ability to organize the process and the perception of the laws of world creation, and 9 shows whether you practiced esoteric in the past life. The more figures 9 you have, the more practical your knowledge in the esoteric were. Many people attend my consultations and ask if they have abilities. The first thing you have to pay attention to is the card inclusion. If you haven't got an experience, firstly, you need to learn and then show abilities. If there are a lot of figures 9 in the card inclusion, it means that you got this knowledge. Let's one more time return to the channels. 1 is the channel of a public life. It consists of the abilities to communicate, the ability to organize people, to get knowledge and pass it, and which sacred knowledge, known only to you, you possess. 4 is the channel of a professional life of a person. It is responsible for your professionalism, 1, for the ability to earn money, 2, for the ability to provide your family and get knowledge from your genius, 3, and for the ability to apply this knowledge in the organizational processes. If you don't have any of these figures, it'll be really difficult for you to organize your business. 7 is responsible for the life experience of a person. Let's look at how interesting it is expanded. 7 consists of a life experience got from the ancestors and your extrasensory abilities. Do you see how interesting? What concerns 2, the channel of intuition. Your intuition is agreed with virtue. 1, with the ability to feel another person's pain. 2, with the ability to show your feelings and thoughts in reality. For example, to say sorry if needed, and of course for the professional approach to any deal. Not only to wish help, but to do help. 3 is the channel of self-realization and creativity. It depends on your wish to develop, on your professional approach to it, on the wish to set the aim and not to be afraid of completing it, and of course on the opportunity to defend yourself in your talent. 6 is the channel of a family life, which depends on the wish to build family relationships, on the concentration of the attention on your close people, on the opportunity to get rid of things that prevent from the professional development in these relationships, on the ability to create handcrafts, and the last on the virtue in these relationships. Spirituality of a person is 8. What does it depend on? On the ability to see details, on the connection with the energy informational field, on the responsibility to whom? To the close people. And of course, your extrasensory depends on extrasensory, on the adequate psyche, on the opportunity to get experience and knowledge from your angels, and of course on the public self-realization. If you don't show your abilities, nobody will learn about them and come to ask for help. When you expand all these squares, you have a whole picture of a person's life. And this is only a basis which we use to give prognosis how to consult a person. It's not prognostics, not the past or the future of a person. It only shows the correct way to communicate with a person. It's psychology. And now let's look attentively one more time at our square of Pythagoras. I've already mentioned that it refers to the energy system, to the chakras. I'll speak in details about it as the chakra system, you got used to it, consists of 7 main chakras. We know that a person has 9 main chakras. They are located a bit different, and we'll look at pairs of Pythagoras refracted through the chakra square. It'll be very useful for you to notice your illnesses and do so that they won't happen with you or your relatives. So, what is it? An energy system. We have the 9th chakra, all the figures 9 in the square, and there is the 1st chakra. These chakras are located in the person's astral plan. We've already mentioned that the 9th chakra is located at arm's length in the astral plan, and the 1st chakra is located under your feet, about 1 meter under your feet. Thus, the dome is formed, and inside it a person develops. The 9th chakra connects the person with the 5th dimension, those strings which the doctors mention. Thus, a person is attached to 2 systems by the hypothetical umbilical cord. This is the 5th dimension where the person gets energy, and the 2nd dimension where the person gets substance. And there is the 3rd chakra, which is located in the center of our body. This chakra connects the person with the maternity line. It's the 3rd chakra, if the process of childbirth was correct. So, from the 5th dimension goes the energy. It's so powerful that it could burst the person, if not the directing planet. These directing planets transform this energy into more simple energy. Pass to the ancestral egregores, properly speaking, you came from there, and further through the ancestral channels, this energy enters the person. It has 2 astral fields, which are divided into 2 energy flows. It's the flow of electrons and the flow of protons, and they differently enter the person's organism. This energy, the energy of life, passes to the 3rd chakra. From the 1st chakra, we also get the energy that enters the body, and near the 3rd chakra, there is an energetic explosion. That's why this part of a body is so thin that if you touch it, you can kill a person. That's why always when the magicians work with a person, they work with the top through the 9th chakra, or through what? Through the 3rd chakra, because there is an accumulation of the person's energy. So two energies have joined. After the micro explosion, the energy spread. If you paid attention, our logo screen in the videos, two accumulations of energy explode and spread into our sign avatar. We took it from this symbol. So two energetic flows spread, and here the thick magnetic field is formed. Lots of electrons start filling our cover. This thick magnetic field is nothing but the person's mental field. Blood is responsible for the formation of the mental field. That's why in the past people said there is a soul in the blood. There is one of the person's bodies only. Why blood? Magnetic field is formed by the metals. From here we get the word mental, mental, and in blood there is the biggest amount of iron. As soon as the energy spread, a huge and thick accumulation of electrons formed here. Next, to set up and form all the other chakras, we've shown how the first chakra formed actually the third. Next, from this thick electronic field, an electron gets through and enters this system. As soon as the first electron reached the 8th chakra, it regenerated and went back. It entered and on the 8th chakra came back. Next electron, it reached the 7th chakra and regenerated. Then goes the 5th, the 6th, and the 4th. They are on the same belt. We call it Orion's belt. It looks like it. In fact, this energy also regenerates the system, reach the 3rd, and regenerate. Reach the 2nd and regenerate. The 1st regenerates itself. Thus, the whole energy system of a person is formed. It's in case the chakra system works correctly. All the chakras except the 1st and the 9th are located in the ethereal field and form ether. Moreover, every chakra is responsible for its body. The 1st chakra is responsible for the formation of a physical body. The 2nd is responsible for the ethereal body. The 3rd is responsible for the astral body. The 4th, the 5th, and the 6th, they are located on the same level, form a mental body. Here I'll pay attention. Why is it necessary to use 3 chakras from the mental body? It's easy. A mental body is the person's memory. It is formed from the experience. Where do we get the experience from? 5 is the connection of a person with the angel. It's the experience of our mentor. It's not our experience, it's the experience of our mentor. The 4th chakra is our personal experience in the past life, and the 6th chakra is the experience of our genius in the past life. If you don't have these figures in the square of Pythagoras, you don't have the connection with this part of the field. No 4, no connection with your personal mental field. You can use the others. If there are no 4, 5, and 6, it's possible, it's very difficult, and it's called the arrow of indecision. Do you understand why it's called an arrow of indecision? There is no experience to move through life, as the energy in these chakras is switched off. And the 7th chakra is responsible for the karmic body. Please pay attention. Where is the 7th chakra located? It's located in the throat. It's the thinnest part of our body. Why so? It's the effect of a bottle throat. The energy of karma is scrolled through the 7th chakra. Our thyroid gland forms it. If you have problems with karma, you broke something in the karmic implication. We have 22 testaments in numerology. One is broken roughly, and you get problems with the thyroid gland. Moreover, I'll tell in details, 7 is responsible for the respiratory system, and there are problems with breathing. When the energy goes around the 7th chakra, the same way according to the law of similarity, the circles of blood circulation in the human body, it is cleaned. We can't let the energy go up, which is too dark. So to say, the frequency of vibration is very high. That's why in the area of the neck there is congestion of energy. How do you feel it? It's simple. You call it the tightness in your shoulders. Energy doesn't go up and there is tightness. On your subconsciousness, information gives the following answer. There is something wrong. You did something incorrectly. You should return and work out the situation and so on. There is always a dialogue with you. If your energy circulates correctly, there won't be problems with the thyroid gland. And of course, where does the energy go further? The person gets energy through the 9th dimension, it goes down to the 7th, and then gets on the 1st chakra. On the 1st chakra in the ground, it cleans itself. Where does the electric current go? Into the ground, a so-called grounding, and the person's energy also goes into the ground. That's why in the past there wasn't a burial. I got this question. The bodies were always burned through the energy and the ash went away. The ash got on the ground to the 1st chakra and the energy, the 9th energy, went up. Moreover, the 9th chakra, if you know, in the Chinese school of numerology, 9 is responsible for the element of fire. That's why the more fire there is in your process of dying, the better. I mean, after death. And imagine, after death, your body gets into the 1st dimension, here to the 1st chakra, where there is an accumulation of strange energy that is strange for you. Have you imagined? And if we burn the body, energy goes up, and there is an incarnation of the energy. It's a very big plus. Let's have a look from the other side. If you are not grounded, you live in a flat, and you walk barefoot rarely, or don't do it at all, and forgot what it is. Our ancestors supposed it to be energy of our health. We must walk barefoot outside to clean our karmic energy. If we live on the floors, we don't have the place to clean our energy. Thus we have a congestion of energy, blockage of blood vessels, tightness in the shoulders, and karmic problems. So karma is unfolding according to the script that we can calculate. Thus energy is restored. If we talk about quality, there should be 3 figures in each square. If you have 3 figures in the square, it means your energy system works correctly. If there are less or more figures, you have problems. Let's have a look at each figure in particular. 1 is located in the 2nd dimension in the astral field. The color of 1 in this system is red. The node is door. If you need to restore the work of this chakra, you should sing on the node door, or to wear red, or to be in the red conference hall. What concerns the energy, the 1st chakra is responsible for getting energy for the regeneration of cells. Our world creation consists of only accumulations of energy of different density. If you have few figures, 1 less than 3, you don't get enough energy for the regeneration of cells, and you start compensating this regeneration through meals. You eat more than a usual person. Moreover, your injuries are healed hard. Our clients complain about problems with skin, acne, everything connected with skin. It's a big problem for people who have a small number of figures 1. Moreover, if you cut, your injury won't be healed quickly. 1 is responsible for this, is regeneration of cells. If you have too many figures 1, you get too much of energy for the formation of the substance for your body. You have inside tumors. 1 in a big amount is what? Authoritativeness. The more authoritativeness you have, the more you disperse energy. If to look through this system, for example, you have few figures 1, energy doesn't arrive practically, and if you have many, let it be in the area of the 2nd chakra. Here you need to restore 1 electron, and you restore 3 or 4. What happens with your cover? If your cover has to shoot 1 electron and catch it, and you threw at once 3 or 4 balls, what will happen? An explosion. That's why our philosophers advised to be in calm, and you need to know the measure. That's why the more figures you have, the worst. If there are fewer figures, you can work with it. If there are 4 or more figures, it means that the chakra works too fast, it's too impulsive, and its energetic will finish quicker. That's why you should restore this energy through the light gamma melodies or through the correct attitude to those features I've mentioned already. 2 is located in the bottom part of the stomach, and it is responsible for the reproductive functions of the organism. Its node is Re, the color is orange. When you plan to get pregnant, you must understand what numbers of figures 2 you have. If there are fewer than 3 figures 2, there will be difficulties with conceiving. If there are more than 3 figures 2, 3 is normal, there can be problems with miscarriages. That's why women should be attentive at their conditional kindness. Next is 3. 3 is the main chakra for Earth people. Its color is yellow, as 3 is the 3rd planet from the yellow sun. 3 is responsible for the digestion system, and if you have few figures 3, your digestion works weakly. If many figures 3, vice versa, gastritis, stomach ulcers, and other illnesses. If there is no 3, one more time, if there is no 3, the problem is that if there is no figure, this or that feature can reveal. You need to tune the sound system as we tuned our microphones today. The system might not work out at all or might give an explosion of sound. The same is here. There should be at least one figure so that it presents. You should work it through the feature it lacks. In this case, 3 is responsible for getting knowledge, analyzing it and passing it. You have to understand, if you don't possess it, you need to work with this feature. But you should pay attention at what is connected with this figure. If there is figure 3, it is connected with 1, 8 and 7. If this feature presents in your cards, is there? Yes, it means this feature is switched off as needed. If there are no these figures, you should develop these features. You know it happens. For example, you tried to penetrate a lot in the past life, but without understanding, and it led to disease. That's why now this feature is switched off, so that you weren't involved into all the intellectual processes, but learned something in particular. Choose a plan and learn it. And of course you can wear something yellow to start this system. 4 is the heart chakra. It's located in the center. Its node is Do, Re, Mi, Fa. The node Fa. The color is green. This is the most pleasant color on earth, and it reveals the interest and calmness. There are people who know energy through the color gamma. When we say the word knowledge in Russian, it has got the same first letter as the color green in Russian. And knowledge has got a green color. Thus, 4 is responsible for it. If you have little energy of 4, less, you have very weak heart rhythm, and all the diseases are connected with it. If too many figures 4, there is arrhythmia and of course problems with cardiovascular system, including possibilities of the heart attacks. That's why when you take everything close to heart, having too many figures 4, it can bring big problems. 5 is located on the right shoulder, and the chakra is directed not to this side, but earthward. They are located on the same belt, on the Orion's belt. 5 doesn't only connect us with our angel and the opportunity to get the right information from him, but firstly, 5 is responsible for the formation of the musculoskeletal system, because the angel supports us on our life way. This is the angel who gives us freedom. That is the understanding of our high assignment in life. Moreover, as 5 is responsible for the formation of the musculoskeletal system, we have to understand more often there are very few figures 5 in the modern world. It's seldom. Thus, if there are few figures 5, the bones are fragile. there is a chance to break something on the even surface. If vice versa to many figures 5, the density of the bones is very high. The person can weigh more than he or she looks like. It's called a heavy bone. And with it, the person can defend himself loudly. What concerns 6? One more time, please. What's the color of 5? Green. The note fa and the color is green. I'll show a bit later how it looks like. And 5 also has green. Yes, also green. 4, 5, 6 are on the same belt and have the same color. 6 also has green, the note fa. It's responsible for the family relationships, personal life, but the main is what 6 is responsible for the person's endocrine system and the lymphatic system of a person. And now, let's remember, don't answer, but only form an answer in your mind. Where do we get a vaccination? Doctors do it by blocking the 6th chakra. Into the endocrine system that works properly, they inject a so-called immune system. Thus, from the beginning of the life, they lock the person's health. That's why, if you have an opportunity not to inject a child, it'll be the best variant for your baby. If not, you have to know that you are involved into the breaking your child's health. As you know, the endocrine system, the lymphatic system are the major systems in the person's organism. If there are no these figures, the endocrine system and also the immune system don't work, and there is a huge intoxication in the organism, and the illness can turn into a big problem. But if there are too many figures 6, the organism starts eating itself. That's why everywhere there should be measure. The 7th chakra is responsible for karma directly. Firstly, it's a thyroid gland and of course a breathing system. That's why if you have problems with breathing, it means you entered a karmic zone. Be careful with it. If there are few figures 7, the breathing is weak. If many figures 7, there are problems with the infection of lungs, lung tuberculosis, and so on. For example, we paid attention if there are few figures 7, there is tracheitis. What? Few and many, what are the numbers? The normal number is 3. If less, there can be tracheitis. That's why be careful. It's very difficult to diagnose and cure it. This illness is not dangerous for life, but it's very unpleasant. 7 gives us the next color. It's light blue. Once the specialists in the Vedic culture told me there is no light blue. Yes, I was very surprised, as there is nothing in the Vedas about it, so it doesn't exist. I was surprised as it presents in the gamma of the sun, so it exists. Light blue, and of course the note do, re, mi, fa, sol to develop. One question: what do the magicians work with? With salt. They work with salt. Next goes the 8th chakra. It's in the head, this so-called third eye. It connects a person, has the last chakra in the ether. It connects a person with the intellectual thought process. Moreover, 8 has a blue color. Let's call it indigo. The note la, and it's responsible for work of the brain and thought processes. In fact, it's responsible for psyche. If you have very few figures 8, you can have bad karma, problems with thinking. If too many, you have headaches, a possibility of apoplexy, and so on. And the 9th chakra is the most interesting, as it is located also in the astral plane. Its color is purple, and all the people with extrasensory abilities tend to the purple color earlier or later. It's more pleasant. And of course, the note is C, the highest. It has a high purity, and it's responsible for the getting energy for life. If you have a lot of aims, a lot of wishes, a lot of opportunities, great ancestors, but you haven't got energy for life, unfortunately you can't move. I emphasize it not for us. We don't have problems with 9, but our children born in 2000s sometimes don't have 9. Thus, they are lazy, don't want to do anything, don't listen to their parents. The problem is not in psyche. The problem is in the energy that is absent. What do we need to do to give energy to a child? To give him or her an interest. Look, the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth are together, the seventh, eighth, ninth. Here they are, the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth. And the colors. You know the poem about the colors of the rainbow. Red, orange, green and blue, shiny, yellow, purple too. All the colors that you know show up in the rainbow. Here we have all of them, but we see a bit different system. Every organism lives with the inherent knowledge of the laws of the hologram created phantom. We speak about the soul, and now the same but in the other aspect. We learned letters and applied this system. 1 is every. 4 is responsible for inherit and hologram. Every inherit hologram. Next, organism knows the creator. You can watch it in the video. And life with laws of phantom. You can analyze differently. All these systems form sentences. Many people ask why we took the word life here. Firstly, the third planet from the sun gave us life. Plus, how do we interpret the word life? Life is the wished source of knowledge. If being in the astral plane, you suddenly want to practice, and 3 is self-realization. You want to practice inherited knowledge and experience only in this situation you are born. If you are still philosophers and you are learning and observing people playing the game called Matrix, you will be there on the cloud without an opportunity to see, to hear, to apply, to create, and so on. That's why life is a great goodness, but not torments, as the religious systems call it. As you see, the whole system is formed not only on the meanings of figures, on the planetary meanings, it's formed on the chakra system, on the person's connection with the second and the fifth dimensions, on sounds, colors, meanings, letters, and so on. Exactly in such aspect, in the wide aspect, you must look at each square. And when at the seminars we learn it, we look at absolutely everything. Though I don't support the idea to build a consultation only on this system. I've already told you that we apply it to identify how to communicate with a person. That's all. Because about the psychological aspects, the person will learn himself. And as I have already shown how to work with the square of Pythagoras, if you aren't against, I'll take the date of birth of one of you. Tomorrow Tatiana will have birthday. If you are not against, I'll show on your date. Not against. Good. So we have the 16th of December, 1982. 1982. Those who watched our videos know that people born from the 1st to the 9th are numerological excellent pupils. They completed the tasks in the past life. That's why in this incarnation they live the life more correctly. They are quick to start the projects, quick to learn, quick to understand their assignment, and so on. And people born from the 14th to the 22nd, as in our case, is a karmic date of birth. And if you have already understood the phrase karmic knots, from the 14th to the 22nd is one of the karmic knots. Now for you, this figure is forbidden. Your house number mustn't be 16, your telephone number mustn't have 16, your surname mustn't be the 16th in the list 16. You must avoid it. Why is this number karmic for you? And from the 10th to the 14th, okay, let's have a look. From the 1st to the 9th are 100% excellent pupils. From the 10th to the 12th, 80% completed the task. Why? Because people born on the 10th abused mercantilism in the past life, and in this incarnation do the same. Born on the 11th abused the physical force and psychophysical pressure. You should be careful with them, especially when you don't know the card of subconsciousness. What if this person has some difficult signs? Anyway, people born on the 11th will prevent. That's why if you start a war with them, you lose 100%. They like obstacles, and if you try to behave quieter, as if there are no obstacles, don't worry, their energy will pass smoothly. And the 12th were too selfish in the past life and too rude towards their close people. In this incarnation, their task is to become maximally diplomatic. And those who become diplomatic don't suffer cancer diseases, and those who don't manage to become get this disease. By the way, I'll pay your attention at the people born on the 11th. I'll come back. The fact is that in tarot numerology, the 11th sign, according to our experience, practically always gives a medical error. That's why people born on the 11th or in November, the 11th month, are likely to be diagnosed incorrectly. I recommend to check one more time in most cases. And people born on the 13th are ruled by the planet Rahu. This planet is very strong. They were too independent in the past life, didn't believe anyone, they lived on their own. In this incarnation, if you are so clever and independent, you can live on your own. But there is a difficult task in front of you. It is to promote the world society, the world culture, the world science, the world knowledge on the other level. And you'll be alone, and nobody will help you. That's why, if you remember Pushkin's poem about go there, don't know where, bring that, don't know what, it's about Rahu. And if you don't bring that and don't know what, you have serious problems with health, which can even lead to death. That's why be careful with these signs. And the dates from the 10th to the 13th, we call these dates the angels' helpers. Their function isn't simple, but very important. And people born from the 14th to the 22nd have an extra planet, Lilith. That's why they are located in karma. How does it look like? In karma there are a lot of signs. We learn it at the second course, and there are 5 signs of karma. And in the shadow meaning there are 5 signs, and each is unfolded into layers. Thus we get what I told you about. 3.48 multiplied by 10 in the 14th degree of the variance of karmic testings. This is what we clearly see. If in your karma there are too many signs and there is not enough space for their setting, you are born from the 14th to the 22nd. People born on the 14th in the past life ruined their parents' business. That's why in this incarnation any business given to them will be ruined, and it's better not to give them anything, let them create themselves. Their task is to pass to their descendants. I'm not talking about a company, any handcraft will be enough. The 15th were involved in occult actions in the past life. I spoke about them, but let's talk again. What concerns people born on the 15th, they used magic in the past life to do harm to other people. They signed the contract with devil. That's why in this incarnation they live the last time, unfortunately. The next incarnation, if they complete their assignment, it's manipulation with other people, making troubles. It's their task, and they often manage to fulfill it. And if they complete their assignment in the next life, they are accepted to the other level. It's called an imp. So that you don't disapprove them, let's look again from the point of your world creation. What is, just a second, the main task of a person in the matrix system? To get all the lessons, get rid of a physical body, take the path of evaluation, that is to remain in the ethereal body, to pass all the planets and to reach the archangel's level. It's when you never fall to the bottom. This way will take you 43,000 years to stay without a physical body, which unfortunately rots, frankly speaking. And here is an easy opportunity to remain without a physical body forever, only doing harm to other people. That's why most of them do their best. But if suddenly you know there is a law of freedom of will, if suddenly you say, no, I want to live properly, I want to help people, and it happens, and people born on the 15th are the strongest confessors because they are very sensitive to esoteric. So if you do this, you'll undergo all the ordeals. You'll lose business, you'll lose health, you'll lose close people, you'll lose everything. But for this, you are purified and you take the path of a possible incarnation. You had a question. You said at the lecture that people born on the 15th of January have an easier karma. Exception. Yes, but not an exception. People born on the 15th of January went through greediness. Through what? Greediness. They didn't have an intention to do harm to other people. They had only one intention, greediness. Greediness. That's why in this life they have to be merciful. Yes. The most difficult people are born on the 15th of February. Of July? February. We learn it at our seminar. There is just a break of law with the applying occult aspects. It's very difficult to learn a person analyzing only a month and a date of birth. Very difficult. When at the second course we learn karma, besides the fact that we learn all the layers of karma, we have 5 of them only in the first approach. We learn the temptation of karma, the script of the past life, what did, who did, when did, why did, and so on. But also we look at the card inclusion. It's obligatory. Without this card, to look at the past incarnation is a waste of time. We put in front of us all the indexes, and after this we see what was done in the past. In our center there is a specialist, Inna, who is a very strong specialist on regression, plus a lot of hypnologists visit our seminars, and in spite of the fact they are skeptics, it's a big plus for us. We love skeptics. Every time they check our system for a simple calculation, we don't interfere in the person's energetic, we don't interfere in psyche, we don't enter into hypnosis, we just use a calculator and that knowledge which we worked out, and there is a 100% match. If there are hypnologists here who work with regressive hypnosis, you can check. A huge number of specialists on regression attended our seminars. It's very interesting. Let's go on. One question about people born on the 15th. I've already told you that people born on the 15th become the strongest confessors if they purify themselves. I like Irina Hakamada's Tao of Life. Read it, and you'll understand. Without descending to the bottom, you'll never reach the top. Actually, the 7th chakra turns your bowl upside down. It's your sand clock. If you turn it, you take the way of evaluation development. If you remain lower, there is a burden of all the chakras from the top to the bottom. Next is the 16th, as in our case. In the past life, you destroyed the other people's property. I've already said that such people have the most difficult karma, especially those who were born on the 16th of March. There is no karma that can be worse. This date has the most difficult karma. After our videos, I don't recommend you to tell people your date of birth. We have a lot of subscribers. Why is it the most difficult? The fact is that to destroy your own house is to destroy a temple, and a temple is the place where the soul comes back after death. And in the past, all our ancestors came to that temple after death. And the attitude was another. It was clean inside, What if an ancestor says there is no place for him? Another approach. And those people who destroyed houses, they destroyed not just a home, they destroyed a temple. They destroyed the place where the ancestors returned. And these are the judges who execute the decision. These are builders who execute the decision. These are people who report there is a house to be destroyed. And of course, during wars, it happens constantly. To destroy a temple, it means to deprive a genus of its temple. It's a very hard sin, but the 16th of March is the enforced obedience of death in the process of destroying somebody's property. And in this life, are such people punished? You know, we had an occasion at the seminar in Moscow. The fact is that such people get into difficult situations. For example, our student, do you remember? In my opinion, 3 or 4 times fell out from the plane. You won't believe. Yes, don't believe. Don't imagine a person falling out from a flying plane. He was an engineer and prepared a plane for the flight, but nevertheless 10 meters. Just imagine, they always get into troubles. They undergo again and again a process of a possible death. They have to be careful driving. There are always people at their cars. They should be careful on trips, especially on extreme trips. But if this person helps another person to get a property, thus making amends of the past life, doesn't claim his parents' property, then no problem. But for the 16th, problems with property always happen, and it's a norm. You said they are custodians, right? What? The 15th are also custodians. Many people think if a custodian, he is saint. Not so much. I'll pay your attention that a custodian is a soul that came from another planet. But it came when? 10,000 years ago. Within this time, any person can become a usual citizen of Earth. To break laws, treat close people badly, and as it's not peculiar for them, they are often rude towards close people, unfortunately. We have researched a lot. I'm sorry, but we are interested in many things. In psychiatric clinics and prisons, there are mostly custodians. Haven't you researched? Because they don't understand this world and the world doesn't understand them, and certain events happen. That's why don't speak about these people as saints. They are ordinary people who possess extraordinary knowledge. That's all. Your question. You've said that a person born on the 16th and his or her genus is the 16th, and it shouldn't be. What must this person do to change a surname or what? I'm against such radical changes or choosing another profession. For men, it's a betrayal of the genus to change a surname. That's why forget about it. It mustn't happen. Women are free if your surname, and again we look at the ancestral lines. Male line? Good. It's the 16th type of a genus. It's a comic genus. What does it say? It says that your genus isn't ready to help you. To speak about the fact, you'll get into an unpleasant situation. The main is not to be greedy towards the property of other people, and you won't have problems. And of course, you will be tempted. When? As in the childhood. The more that the first program is completed in the first meta cycle. The main is not to return this sign upside down. What concerns the 17th? It's an infringe of copyrights. Why are you beaten so hard for the 17th arcane? Usually you are beaten through the breathing system. Even you can be switched off, and don't forget that the lungs set our heart at work, right? The heart doesn't contract, the lungs do it. Thus appears the effect of a flower bed. That's why breathing is life. If you have problems with the breathing system, earlier or later you'll have problems with your heart. These are communicating vessels. Let's look why so. Many people think that a talented person is a talent revealed inside, but we have a concept of a mental field, remember. An experience of your ancestors, your experience, an experience of your mentor, all the talents, they include creativity, science, and esoteric. This is what a person creates. So the talent is given to you not by yourself. In some cases, we consider it's a genius. The talent is given by an angel. That's why it's an angel who paints pictures, writes poems. This is an angel who creates cultures. It's an angel who does it. And if you interfered into the creation of the other person's angel, an archangel will stand up for him. Because it's usually an archangel who stands for an angel. That's why for the 17th, it's difficult to go through life. In the past life, they hindered other people, and in this life, they get the same. These are very talented people, but they, as a rule, are forgotten. Their task is to help other talented people. The 18th are fraudsters. Good, sly, clever fraudsters. There is a film, The Thomas Crown Affair. A great film exactly about these people. The 19th is for people who misuse the power. That's why in this incarnation they often have a raised temperature as the sun hits the body and it rebels. The 20th is the betrayal of a genius, a huge range. The 21st is the betrayal of the motherland. The 22nd are abortions. Many people ask me why the 22nd mistake is the worst. Here, the murder, they are not. Why? Let's take an example. We have such an opportunity. The 22nd is the heaviest sin. Let's look at the person who committed a crime. It's the 13th arcane and the 22nd. There are two variants. The first, when you murder a person, what do? Firstly, you deprive this person of their life. The first is taking life. The second, a person doesn't have time to fulfill the assignment and will be punished for this, right? Can't complete a program. The third, any person who was murdered gets into the public egregor and will never incarnate in his or her genus. Thus, the person gets into the egregor. These are three actions that are behind the murder. Now let's take the 22nd arcane. Is there a deprivation of life? Yes. Are there unfulfilled programs? Yes. And getting into the egregor? Present? Yes. And there is the fourth. It's an unborn ancestor. So the 22nd mistake is an unborn ancestor. 22 is the 13th plus the 20th mistake, a double mistake. That's why the heaviest sin, and it's mostly worked out in the next life. And now our date. The person was born on the 16th, and there are problems in the past life connected with the property. Those who attended our seminars or watched our videos knew there was a profession to deprive people of their property. So we rewrite the low line according to Pythagoras: 30, 3, 28, and 10. I had a question. Does 10 often operate? You know that it's a possibility of cancer diseases. So 10 operates only if the person's date of birth. These signs are analyzed only together, not separately. If the date of birth is from the 10th to the 31st. The closer to the 31st, the higher the risk is. If you have 6 here, it means that in the past life you didn't continue your genus, and now you are in the strange ancestral egregor. It's also not frightening, but you don't understand your parents and they don't understand you. Such children should be adapted to life. We see that in front of this person there was a task to defend her family and family traditions. She didn't manage to do it. Moreover, she deprived her family of a house and helped the others in this question. That's why she has a karmic date of birth. People born in December are always in limbo. Why? Because their task now is to learn how to look for the ground, to accept support from their close people. And as I mentioned many times, they are very ground people. There are a lot of them today. These are people who got used to rely on themselves, and you should rely on your close people. Any basis starts with a genius. A handcraft basis, a skill to develop yourself professionally, a material basis, a spiritual basis. Everything starts with the family. And these people are not used to take a basis from their family. It causes a lot of problems. And if the whole family relies on December person, it's very bad. Because as a rule, people born in December are young souls and they overstrain quickly. And thus you charge a so-called child with a lot of problems. This child won't be able to evolve the more that his or her main task in life is to become independent. Remember, 1 + 2 is 3 means independence. It's the general aspect in the person's life. In our case, it's for sure that the person was several times deported. Thus, if we speak about the code of matrix, she is not on the first round as stated in our book, but on the third, according to knowing karma. Will you attend the seminar? We'll see later. Most likely you will be at the third course. What concerns the lower line? You know that the first index shows the first metacycle of a person. We spoke about it. It also shows how high his connection with the genus is. Here is a rather high parameter, and this index shows which level of the soul development the person is on. In the past life, she was on the second. In this life, on the third. Thus, in the past life, this person evolved and developed intellectually and spiritually. It means your action had a background. There was something in it. In the next incarnation, you'll also have the third level of the soul development, not very high. That's why if you want to evolve, go further. Now your assignment, the code 30, together with 3 is the code of a teacher, a philosopher, a person who reached a particular knowledge level and went deeper. In this incarnation, you mustn't rely on the wide range of knowledge you possess. Choose one aspect and go deep. Work out your technologies and become a lecturer. In the past life, your task connected with the defense of interests unfortunately was broken. By what means? 8 is the sign of justice. It means that some laws were broken. Yes, you worked in this sphere, but certain laws were broken. What concerns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 male signs? Uneven, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 female signs, even. You were a man, gentle, but a man. Thus, in this incarnation, a good partner for you is also a gentle person, so interesting. You need a man with an engineering education. You have him? Right? No? Look for him. As soon as find, take immediately, as he has to have technological abilities. It's not an engineer 100%, he can be an architect, but works with mathematics, creates schemes and so on. Has to be an intellectual person. In family relationships, everything is quite harmonious. You do household chores rather quickly, don't spend much time on them. It's good as you can have more time for other aspects. And when we analyze these squares, here we have 3 figures. 1, this sign is called the bird, the chatter. These people talk little in the childhood, but in the mature age they are too active. That's why in this situation, if you want to find a contact with a person, you need to build relationships more loyally, because you won't be able to defend yourself. When you'll need words to defend yourself, you will lose. What? Why 3 figures? 1, 2, 3 figures 1. The 4th one is Pythagoras. I'm not analyzing it now. Next we have 2. There are 2 of them. A very sensitive soul. You should be consulted gently as you are touching some aspects. If there is something serious or strict, you can close. But with it, you feel well, an emotional state of your close people. You even are able to see a disease. For example, you have pain, but actually it's not your pain. It's of another person near you, very strong and energetic. As concerns the memory, you have it, but it remembers what it wants to remember. It's not structured, everything is in a pile, and you have to put everything on the shelves. Why so? Because there is no 3. If there is no 3 in the date of birth, it means there is no consistency in learning and adapting information. That's why I recommend such students to write a lot so that sometime later they will have something. The more figures 3 you have, the better. If you have 3 or more figures 3, it's a level of a metaphysician. 4 figures, it's a 100% metaphysician, and you can develop each quality to this level. 4. Its absence is good. It means that you are not bound to certain material aspects. You tend not to the status in profession, but to the professionalism. These are a little bit different parameters, and they don't coincide. Anyway, if your close people are worried about your disorder in some aspects, it's a normal for you. 5 is also absent, but it doesn't mean it's absent in the card inclusion. We look later. 6, I've already mentioned. 7 is absent, and it means you get lessons every 7 years, and you get them already stored. 8 presents. It means you should take information in portions. Moreover, it points to the fact that you are a person who thinks not globally but partially, and the world's pictures you see also partially in details, and they have a meaning for you. Every word, every view, every interest, everything has a meaning. You have to go deep and further. I won't interfere in the past life deeply. If you are interested, I'll tell you after the lecture. There are some moments not for the public. What concerns your card? Let's look. Badeva Tatiana Alexeyevna. Our task is to identify what number of figures 1, 2 there are in your card. We need to complete the cards with your indexes. Thus, we'll see all your channels that work or don't work. The date of birth is very simple. We write it in our square. 3 figures 1, 2 figures 2, 3 is absent, 4 as well, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. The card of subconsciousness. Three figures 1, 2, 4, 6, 8. Do you remember I told you if a person has 816, it's an arrow of an entrepreneur. Moreover, she had 2 financial flows in the past life. She didn't care about health of her close people and didn't have an experience to see a tragic death of her close people. But in this figure, there is an emphatic of this aspect. Next is the square of Pythagoras. Here we have 4 figures 1, 1, 2, 3, 3 figures 2, 2 figures 3, no 4, no 5, 1 times 6, no 7, 2 times 8, and 1 time 9. And the card inclusion. It's formed only according to the name, middle name, and their surname. 1, 2, 3, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 figures 1, 3 figures 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 figures 3, 1 time 4 and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 figures 6. The rest figures are absent. As I've already said, the card inclusion is responsible for the past life of a person. 1 is responsible for the opportunity and wish to defend yourself. And as there are too many figures 1, there should be not more than 4 figures in the card. It means that your life in the past incarnation was very aggressive. Not you, but your life made you defend yourself. That's why in this incarnation, in spite of a huge number of figures 2, she will reveal all her figures 1. In case somebody pressures her or she will need to defend her child, and the person will be surprised at the power of her energetic and how she defends her close people. I pay your attention at a very interesting fact. We consult not only people who live in Russia, we also give consultations to the foreigners. They have another letters. I'll tell you a secret, they have too few figures 1, as a rule maximum 4. And the Russian person who has Russian letters and names has a lot of figures 1. Huge numbers, letters, A, E, a lot of letters. Thus we mustn't be afraid of anything, as our figures 1, our history, we are powerful. Who invades us, they will be defeated. Thus we see the picture of the history of our nation, which defended and is ready to defend now. 2 is responsible for virtue. So in the past life you showed generosity towards people, and here I always pay attention at one Khan named Bati in 5 letters. Bati, there are 4 figures too. Moreover, who knows the history of Rus deeply, knows that Bati was Russian. He defended Rus, being a Tatar Mongol, and we are also Tatar Mongols, and he defended Rus against the Khazars, and he was an absolute Russian who worried about our country, and he was leading our country to the victory and not vice versa. 3 shows that in the past life you were a well-known person. What's interesting to look at it? No, 7. It means that you didn't have an access to any mysterious secrets or so on. I'm also interested to see this arrow. You don't have it. There had to be 9 and 3. If you had them, it means you were involved into the law sphere. That is, you were a judge who convicted or executed a sentence. It's not your case. You didn't have such work. You had a classical profession, and most likely you were a builder. You have too many engineering signs. That's why you were a person who executed a sentence from the engineering service. If you decide to renovate your flat, you won't have problems. Your workers will have problems, as they won't reach your professional level, though they can have an education in this sphere. You knew how to live, were a professional in your sphere, you had a very good and reliable family, and you are inclined to create family relationships, as the number of figures 6 in the card inclusion exceeds the number of figures 1. If an equal number, it depends on the mood. If the number of figures 1 is bigger, it means my power in this family is more important. That's why the rest is not relevant. And there was no introduction to deep knowledge, to esoteric, and there was no responsibility for the execution of the task. Now let's look at the channels. The channel of a social life works perfectly. 3 figures 1. You know how to organize a process, you know where to get knowledge and how to pass it. What is left? To find your own knowledge, sacred, unusual. If we talk about professionalism, this sign is also absent. But in this situation, it's good, as it gives you the right to choose other spheres of the activities. But you know how to earn money, you can provide your family, and also it'll be good to learn how to behave towards the financial opportunities. What else is absent? The channel of creativity. Why? Intellect presents, the ability to set goals presents, the ability to defend is too big. If you are given a talent, you'll go too far with this aspect. That's why it's better to get rid of figures 1, and then our 3 is opened. It'll give you a possibility to get and pass knowledge. With 5, everything is not so frightening because there is 5 in the card inclusion. The first 2 cards are subconsciousness in the past and present life. This is your card according to Kabbalah, connected with your expression of life, how you act. It's also subconsciousness, and this is also subconsciousness of your previous global lives. Thus, you can analyze what should be cleaned, which figures should be added, how to inspire a person, which features to bring up. Yes? How to calculate the card of subconsciousness. This card is not calculated. It is transformation from our Western into the Chinese calendar. The date is written down. In the image it exists, nothing more. It's impossible to calculate it. And what about the location of the figures? Should it be, as you said? Yes, if you knew there is concept as the square of Jupiter. This is the square of Jupiter. All the figures in it, wherever you look, give 15. It's a classical organization of the square of Jupiter, which is built and interpreted as the card of subconsciousness. The only difference, we take the dates of birth not in our calendar, but in the Chinese. It's a bit different. If you don't have other questions, I'll take questions that have been written already. Okay? So, number 1. How should we identify a real date of birth if there was a cesarean section? A very good question. We always answer it at the seminars. The fact is that not always a date of birth is connected with the cesarean section. It's not identified. We had situations at the seminars when the prognostics of the person didn't coincide for about 80%. But as numerology is an absolutely exact science, because it's mathematical, it's impossible that the prognostics give failure even for 5%. And we supposed a particular date of birth and then found out that on the eve of these events, on the eve of the baby's birth, there was a big conflict and the mother was hospitalized and bore a baby. It's practically the same as the cesarean section. The baby was born in the extreme situation before the time. How to identify? Very easy. There are 3 methods in numerology. They are combined methods, how to calculate the exact date of birth. The first is the point of obstacle. It's a psychological imaginary defect. The second is the mistake of the past incarnation. It's a testing factor and the program for the childhood. These 3 factors give a 100% date of birth. Firstly, it works in the prognostics in the future for 100% one. Secondly, it gives the exact subconsciousness of a person and understanding how he will live using this subconsciousness. And thirdly, it gives an absolute combination with partners, a mother, a father. And of course, what concerns the exact date, if you know it, you know absolutely everything about a person. You need to know it. Anyway, we learn it at the first course. For us and our students, this is the easiest question possible. If you have such a problem, please ask me, and I'll solve it. It'll take me 2 minutes. Number 2. A person turns gray early, since 18 years old, or early baldness. The reasons: metabolism, a wrong work of the body. Number 3. What about 10 in the 4th numeral? I've told you already, it depends on how close you are to the 31st. The energetic will become stronger. Number 4. If a father of a baby changed his surname and took the mother's surname, I've told you about these surnames. Men mustn't do this, as it's the 20th mistake. Now the ancestors will be born in the egregor, which belonged to this surname. Knowledge will be passed to this egregor, and children will evolve and incarnate in this egregor. Number 5. If all the children in the family have different surnames and so on, I haven't understood the question. Different surnames, different egregors, different tasks. Moreover, Porteous and Portas, in fact, is the same egregor. The letter I is 1, and Portas is also 1 figure 1. And Portes is different for 5, plus the 5th meaning. 6. How should we learn? I'm sorry, I didn't understand your handwriting. Next, how exact is the information according to the numerological calculations? 100%. It's not because I love this discipline, it's because it works for 100%. The questions are finished. As you see, we have 2 whiteboards. Before our arrival in Minsk, we got lots of letters, and the city wasn't very welcoming. So to say, it was waiting for us, but it's the first time within our lecturing practice the city urged us to join the counteraction, the fight that prove our professionalism. That's why we have 2 boards today. We have microphones, calculators. Actually, we accepted the challenge, and those in this conference hall who intend to start a battle with me, I take the challenge. I'm ready to see you here. You can give your date, anything you like, but I have one requirement. First, we use only the calculators, and second, I forbid to use all the methods which are authorial. So I invite you. There were a lot of you, a lot of letters. It's a pity. Anyway, we are waiting for them with pleasure, as our technologies are very interesting and it'll be useful to see them in the battle. Well, then your questions, if you wish. Yes? If there are twins 3 times, I'm sorry, I don't hear you. If there are twins 3 times, interesting, there is a certain crashing in your genus. It means your genus has a hard karma. Yeah, very hard karma. Your questions? You finished at the 22nd date. What about 23rd and further? If we talk about dates from the 23rd to the 31st, then according to the principle of cyclicity, the signs fall from 1 to 9. The only difference, according to our analysis, these people have double programs. For example, the 23rd is the 5th and the 1st programs. 2 plus 3 gives us 5, 23 minus 22 gives 1. These people have double programs, and in case of not completing them, turn into minus and give their negative programs. It means that in the past life, a person chose the wrong life way and didn't complete the task. We call them losers. Is it from the 23rd to the 31st? Right. Can you interpret? You mean to tell about 23rd to 31st? Please tell me the right variant how to write the word sacred or sacred. It's considered to be written sacred with A, but sometimes there is another letter. But I didn't find the right variant of spelling, but if you use letters, of course, it's sacred. Because it means unusual knowledge, which is not allowed to the public, and the letter A, that means knowledge, got from outside, and letter U means unity. That's why to the word sacred, the closest meaning with the letter A. Yes. Unfortunately, I won't attend 3 days lectures. Is the course the same? Those videos on YouTube and today's lecture? No, I mean your school through the internet. I don't have time for it now. You mean an individual training? You have an individual and group training. I don't have time now. Our school is so popular that we give trainings every week in different cities and countries. And you can choose a place that is good for you. And what we upload in the internet. No, I mean training on the internet. We are planning to set a video on the first and the second level. The first level is a basis numerology, and the third is tarot numerology. But I think it'll be at the end of the year. Books, if we talk about the whole information from the book, it'll be within 10 years, not less. We are now at the first, second, and third level, and many students ask about the next levels, if they are detailed first 3 levels. You see, we know numerology too well to talk again and again about the same. We went further. We have Kabbalistic occult numerology. It's a new step and will start from the end of the next year. We are organizing the basis now. Yes. Tell me, please, if you know the person's date of birth, is it possible to understand whether his financial flow is open or not? Is this person worth taking as a partner? A good question. 1 shows if this person can earn money or not. It's seen at the first course. The question is rather difficult in the research. To answer it, you have to understand we have such a formulation as a chart of the financial flow, a chart of a career, a chart of business. We have a lot. They are absolutely different, and every system has its own chart. Moreover, we teach our students to overlay karma on the charts, because the chart of the financial flow can go up, but there can be a period, 2, 3, or 4 years, there is a blockage of the financial flow through karma. You need to consider it. At the first course, we learn at this level if there is an ability to earn money, how lucky the person is in this aspect without connecting to karma, and so on. If, for example, the person has the 10th mistake in the past life, I don't recommend employing such people, even as accountants, not talking about business at all. We have the charts of business, there are the charts of common business. You can even count how many years in this common business. And if the business crashes, it's another question. We have a special course on business, a separate course. If we look at the card Lashu, there is a financial flow 8, 11, 6, 8, 2 figures 1, 6, and in this card of birth there is no 4 or next figures. It means that the person has an energetic potential but no skills to earn money. The absent 4 says that a person is cut from the material plane. That is, the person is not fixated on the money. Usually it happens with the people who have too many figures 1 here. It's called the past life experience, and the person wants to try something else. In this situation, the professionalism presents what there aren't 4 figures 4 as should be, but only 1. It means the person was a perfect contractor, and now the person should change the job sphere. That's why 4 is switched off, to find a new way to take it. That is, if in the card of birth there is 1, and in the square of Lashu there is 8, the person can defend his point of view, and the person can't work independently as there is no 4? 4 is responsible for another aspect. I got the question. 8 is responsible for self-organization. 4 is responsible for another aspect. There are 2 concepts. A concept of the professional status and the concept of professionalism. These are 2 different things. Unfortunately, our modern youth appreciates the concept of status, and professionalism they put aside. Here is another thing. Here the person needs not a status. 4 is absent. This person needs professionalism. This person can work in a small company, but be an absolute professional in her sphere. She can be unemployed, as she doesn't want to be tied. 4 is stability, attachment, it's practicality. 4 is switched off with this person so that she can find her other way and develop as a professional, but not as a person with a crown in the field of a status. Another aspect. As for 1, 3 figures 1 can't defend themselves as well as 2 figures, and 1 figure 1 keeps silence. That's why the number of figures 1 means a lot. 4 figures 1 write more than say. What is the peculiarity of twins? How to analyze them? Do they complete one program or what? I understand your question. The karmic body is divided, minus to one, plus to the other. The program body is one, the rest bodies are united. What's here? In the card of birth, besides the date of birth, I didn't write, but it's necessary, the name. They have different names. That's why this card will be different. These two cards will be the same. Why? They are responsible for the person's past life, and in the past life they were who? One body. This card also will be different. Why? The names are different. Here you should look at the total experience to overlay one sign and the second. That's why I say to analyze a person only according to one card is to give only 25% of information and the rest percentage. That's why when you lay all the cards and use a name, a middle name and a surname, you get the whole picture and you aren't afraid of twins or anyone else. For a woman, how should we calculate the card inclusion? According to the maiden surname? Here it's not exactly for a man or a woman. There is one problem, as modern women don't always know the father of their children. And the card inclusion is formed only according to the ancestral surname. It's not the surname of a father or a stepfather, but a surname of an original father. Got it? That's why if you don't know the father's surname and his middle name, you won't be able to form this card. Well, thank you. Yes, we finish. Thank you very much for your questions, for the shown interest. I'll tell you a bit about the programs. We have calculated a lot of programs. Can you focus it on the camera? The blue line on the chart is the chart of a career. We have a video on YouTube called the career chart. You can open it and analyze independently. The red line is the personal life chart. There is also on YouTube. You can analyze every point up, down. We showed on the chart everything. We arrived to teach more specialists on numerology. I also introduced our students to you. You can ask them questions. They can teach you after the lecture. Thank you very much for your attention. Did you like the lecture? What can you say about it? For me, it's very unexpectedly, as I saw the first videos on YouTube only yesterday, and today I'm here. That's why I'm in shock. I'm very glad. Numerology is an interesting science, and I would like to go on learning it. I have been watching Julie Po's videos for a long time already, and I wanted to learn more about myself, about relatives. That's why I'm here. Thank you. It was by chance when I saw Julie Po's videos. I was in Moscow at the Welcome Day. Actually, after that day and meeting with specialists of this center, I was interested in training and learning the science better. I'm grateful to Julie Po and Iron Po for their hard work. I was also interested in numerology and saw videos on YouTube. And when I learned that Julie Po was coming to our Belarus, I came from Vitebsk. So you arrived at the lecture? Yes, only because of it. She's very nice. I liked everything. The information is given thoroughly. Julie tells everything without secrets. I'm going to attend a seminar, but I need to perceive as there is a lot of interesting information for me. Right. I will understand everything. I liked everything as I dreamed about combining methods. I understood there was only one side, but I needed more. I found on the internet it's a miracle. Have you been learning numerology for a long time? No, only for a year. My life had turned so that I wanted to find a causal relationships, and these methods are what I was looking for. I saw Julie's videos about 3 weeks ago, and I've been living in this state of an active informational absorbing for these 3 weeks. And I have a feeling that this information is deep. You know, there is empty information on the internet and there is such deep information. I think she's very deep. You have to comprehend her, and I'm grateful to Julie. It was a gift, as Minsk is usually the last on the list. We are always at the end, but here is a surprise. Thank you very much. Do you plan to attend trainings? You know, I'm eager, but I can't attend them physically. But I'll try to catch up with Julie in Germany, in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, to arrive and attend trainings, seminars. But if she is here in the nearest future, I will come. Thank you very much. I liked very much, and I think this knowledge will help me in some actions to understand where and why and what to do. Have you been learning numerology for a long time? No, not yet, but I see it is what I need. Are you involved already? Yes, I'm coming tomorrow on a training. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Interesting information at this seminar. Thank you very much. Thank you. Do you practice numerology? It's only the beginning, to say so. I'm for the first time here. Have you seen videos on YouTube? No. Some people recommended me, but I've never came across this science. It's interesting. Thank you very much. Yes, it was fantastic. I don't know what to say. I have been learning numerology for a long time, and I'm going to the seminars to go on learning and to get the first level. I liked it very much, and I would like to attend the lectures. Today I got what I saw on YouTube. I liked the lecture, got the answers to my questions. It's always interesting to listen to Julie Po. She is always talking correctly, structurally, and she is a good lecturer. She sorts everything through, and you easily get this information. Have you learned numerology? My sister showed me the videos. She is practicing it, mostly matrices. I'm only the beginner, but my sister practices it professionally and helps people. From this lecture, I got information and understood my life, my relatives, and close people. I suppose everyone should know the basis. You said your sister practices it professionally. Does she analyze people, help them? Yes, she has been doing it not for a long time, but she helps a lot. Is she interested? Of course, she is keen on it. She came to trainings. I decided to attend this lecture only, but she is going to continue. We are from another city, 200 kilometers from Minsk. Yes, she is very serious. And she is pregnant. I attend the lecture for the first time because I watched the videos. I liked it very much. That's why I decided to attend not only the lecture, but also I'm joining the seminars. I liked Juli's videos and watched a lot of them. Considering the fact that knowledge is not always got at once, I had to watch a lot of. Great. Did you practice numerology? Or just Julie gave you a chance? No, never. I came here to learn myself through numerology. To understand myself. Yes, I liked the lecture, but it's my first time. My friend shared a link, advised me to watch. I was intrigued, and I'm here. Julie is a great teacher. I learned from my career chart that I need exactly numerology. I found myself. Numerology and esoteric are sciences I need to learn. I'm happy to be here. I've been listening to Julie for a long time. I watched a lot of similar videos of the other lectures on YouTube, but more exact, more laconic I've never seen. I'm a mathematician and I like it to be brief without if, whether, and so on. That is what I appreciate in Julie. I see what I want. We came from Almaty in the morning and we are happy to be in Belarus. And we are happy to touch deep knowledge, to be a part of this great event. Julie Po is a great master of her craft and we are grateful to get knowledge from her. Thank you very much. I listened with great pleasure. I like knowledge that is useful. Have you attended the other lectures? No, it's my first time. I'm lucky there are people from Kazakhstan, but I live in Belarus, in Minsk. The impression is great. Knowledge given by Julie and Iron Po is great. You know, there is time before this knowledge and after. The person's life changes completely. The person learns those things which were hidden from the other people. It's a wonderful opportunity to learn yourself and people around how everything is organized in our world. That's why I recommend everyone to attend the seminars, get knowledge, and use it in your life.